The moment I realized that Warcraft was kind of becoming something special, I think, was during Warcraft 3. And we had been playing with the theme of the orcs' corruption. The demon Manaroth had put the orcs under a blood curse. And all the while, the character of Thrall is trying to convince his people that we can be better than this, we can raise above this. And the corruption was kind of most seen in the character of Grom Hellscream, who kind of railed against the corruption and knew that he wanted to find a better way and get rid of his rage. But he just kept failing and failing. And finally, at the end of the campaign, we did a cinematic directed by Nick Carpenter where Grom finally raised up and directed all that rage and anger and all the corruption that was in him at the source of the corruption, which was the demon Manaroth. And he scored a crit, and he took Manaroth down. And as he laid there dying, he would say to Thrall, his brother, like, I've done it. I finally freed myself. And Thrall says, no, you've freed us all. And it was probably one of the most poignant moments we had attempted to create in the series. So I was very proud of the scene's kind of fidelity, that it wasn't a bombastic combat scene, but it just had a lot of heart. And it just really stirred, my tanks, as it were. I was very proud of the moment. But upon reflection, I really enjoyed the idea that, you're watching this scene that, is pretty engaging, for a video game, and it's two orcs. The classic fantasy bad guys, and suddenly they're as dimensional as any other characters you've met, certainly within our franchise. And I was very proud of that, that we had turned that archetype on its head, and suddenly you're caring and invested in what would otherwise have just been two-dimensional bad guy characters. So I've always been very proud of that, and through the lens of that scene specifically. My favorite personal moment in terms of just playing the games has to be a quest line we constructed in Northrend, and unrelated to the main story. It involved an Argent Crusader who had been contracted the plague, the scourge, and he was dying, and the heroes wanted to see if they could save this man who was so noble and had served with such distinction. And the quest line was actually originally based on one of our buddies here, Rob Bridenbecker, had his brother pass away, his brother Bradley, from cancer. And we wanted to do something for Rob and just kind of honor his brother and, just kind of rally around the family a little bit. So Alex Afrasiabi and I kind of came up with this storyline that would have players go and interact with the great world powers, the Red Dragonfly, the Druids and the angelic Naru of Outland. And one by one, as the player went to these people and asked for help to save this noble soul, it's kind of clear that in this case, death will be inevitable. But the nobility that Bride and Brad, exhibited kind of really spoke to us, and even in the face of all this darkness and the scourge and all the within this fiction, that the nobility of the human spirit is very, very powerful. And I loved that quest line felt so emotional, and especially the point where Bride and Brad, he's going out. There is no saving this man, and the way that Alex handled the end of this sequence where the Naru come down and essentially beam him up and whisk him away to some unseen paradise was very satisfying to me from a story angle and from a personal angle. I talked to Rob Bridenbecker about it after the fact, and he was really touched, and he even showed his dad and his family, and maybe it even helped a little bit in their grief. There's this goofy video game thing, but it just was such a great moment for me, fictionally, and more importantly, personally, that sometimes this clumsy craft of making video games and things can sing beyond the game itself, beyond the gameplay itself, and, really touch people. And I get a huge kick out of that.
So it actually had to do with when I was in QA, and we were testing out the Warcraft 2 map editor. And for me, it was pretty personal, just because, like, I'm a coder, I self-taught myself, and I realized, wow, this is hugely different than any other game on the market, because here you have the ability to really extend the universe in whatever fashion you want to extend it. And so I'm sitting down and I'm playing around with this thing, and I'm just doing everything I can possibly do to kind of, break the system, but at the same time, explore some of the creativity. And as a coder, a lot of times you don't get to put on the designer hat too often. But then I started playing with it a little bit, and I said, there's certain things here that I'd like to change, and like some of the bells and whistles aren't working as well as I would hope that they would work. And so when I went home in the evening time, I decided, you know, I'm gonna start coding myself. And so I recreated the map editor. And even though I was in QA, that effort of recreating the map editor was ultimately what allowed me to move over to become a coder at Blizzard. So it was personal for me, but it was also like one of these things where you look at it and you say, wow, you know, here's this tool that we're making as a company, and we're basically saying, hey, you know, put on your designer hat, be whoever you want to be, and create these awesome maps. And we've kind of held on to that over the years, and we've provided not just the tools, but really that like embracing of the community throughout all of our franchises.